Yeah, unfortunately, we live in a world of fear, and fear is a great motivator to
Right, and the
scramble.
question is, do we fall into the fear factor and let them win? Or do we rise above this, pull up our big boy pants, and do the right thing, and be a little less luxurious and a little less opulent, settle for a little less, and live a smaller, happier, slower life?
Well,
It's
I
it's
hope so.
it's important, I mean, we need to find ourselves again because we're lost, and our behavior shows it. I mean, we're fighting each other, we're screaming at each other in the streets, pointing fingers over small political matters that we used to actually commonly discuss across the dinner table, and they don't do that now. Now they start throwing things
Oh, yeah.
or shoot each other with AR-15s and stupid stuff like that. And it's just we need to step back a little bit and take it a little slower. And an event might teach us the hard way.
Yeah, unfortunately, slower is not something that the world seems to be moving towards.
Can you imagine, walking up to your electrical panel and shutting everything off for 2 days, including your water, and trying to, and I tell people, do that. Have a family gathering. I bet you can't get through one day.
Oh, I got snowed into a cabin.
Yeah, we talked about that on another
greatest
show. Yeah.
trip of my life.
Yeah, and those are the ones we remember. My greatest camping trips that I've been on hundreds with my family all the way up to Montana backpacking. And the stove on the side of the glacier, and trying to get some hot soup going because you're freezing your butt off. Those are the ones that I remember. Those nice sunny days that I went camping where everything was peachy, and I don't even remember them anymore. But the ones I froze my butt off and I got rained out really bad, I remember every one of those. And so we need a little discomfort, and we need a little hardship, and we need to realize how hard it is to bake that loaf of bread out of something that you grew in your yard. We've forgotten the process. We forgot how long it takes to make all of this stuff.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I sort of invented, before there was the paleo diet, I invented the caveman diet.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that you just have to do everything that a caveman does to eat, and you cannot eat anything that took technology.
And you have to give 5 hours to have enough hot water and everything for everything. You start cooking at noon to cook for dinner.
Yeah, if you want an apple, you got to climb a tree. That's the way it is.
Right. We've got to start viewing, and then people work together, and this is why I study so much of Rome, because they were right on the cutting edge of when technology started growing into human behavior, and how they built their construction, and we can talk about. For instance, the number of people in India right now, the children that are dying because their mothers cook in the same room that they sleep. Mm-hmm. Now, when you have carbon on the roof inside your tent or your lean-to or your cabin or your whatever you want to call it, and you breathe in that, and that water gets up on that carbon and it drips down, you are breathing a toxic substance that gets into the lungs, and this is why most children that are dying in India are dying from pneumonia, because the carbon causing pneumonia. So if we could even extend to the Indian population how to cook better, or in a unified shack, and then sleep in a separate place that doesn't have all these carbon that they're not breathing all the time.
Right.
Which is why I cross-reference, because that's what Romans did. They put the heating under the floor so the floor stayed warm, rather than sleeping in something with open fires inside their room, because the people would get sick. And we have all these sicknesses, and but of course we need a level of certain people dying on this planet rather than being born all the time. But, and I hate to go there, but we do have almost overpopulation, and it's showing. And I think we're right at the 100 rat syndrome, where we're just chewing at each other's heels because there's no room.
Yeah, population is a scary one, because our economy is based off of a growing population. Yet our population is, in some areas, no longer growing. And, yeah, I don't know. It is a...
And then China has reneged on their population control, because now they realize that they've just lost a whole bunch of people. And they're building all of these extra cities. And most of that turns out is an economic thing, where they're just paying people to keep moving, because most of these Chinese citizens cannot even afford to move into those new empty cities. They can't afford to. And they haven't realized their economic status properly, because they wrote the check before they got paid themselves, and so they wrote a bounced check, and now it's catching up to Pi Ching or whatever his name is. And They did it. They did a good thing, but it didn't turn out. And now with all the bad weather and the flooding and everything in the factories, and then their argument with Australia about coal, they're screwed. And so they have created a chink in the system so bad we are not going to recover from.
Well, let's hope we all decide to be a little bit nicer soon.
Yeah, let's start building our own factories again, because we're going to need to, because our supply chain is not going to recover. We're going to have to start doing everything ourselves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that part's pretty scary.
Easy is over, and now comes the tough stuff. And this is when you were asking, should we be scared? Yeah, we're now going into a new world.
Well, nobody deals with the tough stuff as good as Americans.
Yeah. Well, we used to be number one, and we're not anymore. We're watching the fall of Rome, and I hate to say that, but we are no longer number one. But the number one ones that are out there, they are all opulent and beautiful and tall and expensive and everything else, and they've written themselves into trouble too, and they need to take a step back also.
You're making me feel like a soft-handed trust fund baby.
Yeah, well, no, I've worked most of my life, and I've had a little money here and a little money there, and did okay, but there should be a better premise where people are respected. I mean, they don't even respect intellectuals anymore. And the people that are, popular are the Kardashians on TV, and their $10,000 pair of sunglasses. It's like, you got to be kidding me.
Well, love and acceptance is as good of a message to end this on as any, because I agree that regardless of what the problem is, a little more love and acceptance is not going to hurt.
Yeah, and we need to tone it down and realize we are not alone here, but we also need to be, I put up a thing, we are our brother's keeper, and I think we've forgotten that.
So, Montana Skywatchers 2 group on Facebook, that's still the best place to send people?
Right. And like I said earlier in the program, we don't know what's going to happen. They're just apparently can allow anybody in. I'm told I might have to go to private membership only, but I mean, we've got 7,000 membership requests, and I can't keep on top of it, but we try.
Right.
And we're still going, and we're still going to keep sharing. And the main thing is to keep the world-wide information coming in, whether or not we share too much of it, but so we stay on top of it. Is knowing where the stuff is so we can stay on top of it and get out the information, even if we have to start doing things differently. If I have to do a monthly snail mail newsletter, I will. But, I'd hate to think I could do that, but I would if I had to. So we'll see where it's going to go. Yes, Montana Skywatcher 2. And, of course, I'll always plug Nibiru Followers Anonymous in case you'd like a different avenue. And Rebecca's doing a phenomenal job, and so are all the moderators at Montana Skywatcher 2. And they're doing a really good job, even though we got a lot of people complaining because everybody's being a Karen right now.
Right.
We're all miserable. We're all grumpy. We're all suffering from these passing planets, especially when Atu's moon goes over the top of us. It affects us all. And don't be surprised if people get mad and crazy around you. Just expect the fact that maybe it's not their fault. And we have to be a little kinder on some of the crazy that's about to befall us.
Yeah. Well, I agree. All right, Sam. Well, it's always nice having you on.
Thank you.
And thank you again for coming on. And you've been listening to Samuel Hofman here on Radio Wasteland.